Tony Hawkins has got a podcast. I hope he's better at this than he is washing the kit, because he was fucking useless.
Well, I have got one word that I heard recurring on Saturday. Tony, do you want me to tell you what it was?
Banana.
No, it begins with B.
Banana.
No, still not banana.
Um,
Go on, one last guess, go on.
Birthday.
No, it was boring, Tony.
Ah, right, okay.
I heard that at least twice. I heard people saying this is boring, this. And I'll be honest with you, I found it very difficult to disagree with those people that were saying that.
Are we talking about the Accrington game?
We are talking about Accrington Stanley.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a spectacle, was it, really?
I missed their goal, I missed the penalty and everything. I went to the toilet. I thought I'd treat myself to something more exciting, so I went to the loo instead.
Yeah, that was about the only way they were going to score, other than trying to reduce our numbers as much as possible, perhaps to give them a fighting chance. But yeah, it's just a shame that should have won the game, shouldn't have conceded a goal, but again, didn't lose.
No,
They're just one of those teams, aren't they? They'll pull out some stupid results this season like they always do. I think like last season, last couple of seasons, they've beaten like Ipswich, haven't they? Sheffield Wednesday. I know they've had some really silly results, but you never know what you're going to get. Entertaining from their goalkeeper, I'll say.
Oh God, remember him?
Very,
I forgot
very
all about
funny.
him. He's dead.
Very
that bloke,
funny
Tony.
man.
Did you not hear?
I think he's been upgraded to stable.
Right, so he's recovered from death.
Verging on frisky.
I felt terrible for him. I really did.
So
I'll say one thing though, Tony. Another word that begins with B, brave, because to play on, Tony, when you're so unbelievably badly injured.
Yeah, I mean, he had, side of his head, much of that was missing after the violent assault by Dennis, and then he continued with effectively one leg after being taken out on the touchline.
So we are slagging him off, but if it was, I couldn't play under those horrific injuries that bloke sustained in that game. It's amazing that I heard he was dead, but if he's recovered, then I say fair play to him. Yeah,
I checked. Yeah, he has been upgraded to stable.
They were another classic team, even when they were 1-0 down. I think you blokes are beginning to waste time here. What are you doing? No, don't do that. I hate that. Even when they were 1 down, like no.
Well, the thing is, all right. If it was last season, you could say, "Oh, this lot are thinking they're going to get a kick in, so they're just going to try and keep the score down." But it's not like we're anything like that at the moment. No. But they clearly had zero ambition, and the best thing about that keeper was that he was beyond parody.
They were terrible, wasn't he?
Because I thought at first when he was assaulted in the head and beaten about the head with the sharp end of Dennis's boot, I really thought to myself, is he taking the piss? Oh no, he's serious. He's actually serious. And I was in a fortunate position of sitting behind Callum Reid, and he's got a live feed from the our own cameras.
Yeah.
And he showed me a replay of especially the second one on the touchline was brilliant, because it cleared the ball, and was that also Dennis, or was it someone else? Can't remember. Anyway, it sort of cut across him, but it didn't touch him. It was clear that he didn't touch him. And the way he went down, I just thought, wow, you've really got to have been told to do that.
Absolutely no sense of shame whatsoever, that guy, did he? None at all.
No, none at all. No. And there was a thread on the concrete roundabout about diving and that sort of play acting. And I'd love to bump into some of these players and show them a video and say, are you not embarrassed, mate? Because that...
Explain yourself.
In the Premiership, you expect it, but this is MK Dons Accrington Stanley in League One.
You should just turn around and say to the guy, tell you what, mate, justify that performance. Go and tell us why you think that's all right to do that.
Show me where your leg is severed, as apparently it was on Saturday. You know, I'm looking at your head. I can't see any part of your skull where it was ripped. The skin was ripped off, and
perhaps he's like the $6 million man, Steve Austin. Remember him? All bionic and stuff, Tony.
He's the £4.50 twat.
Yeah, he's £4.50 man. Yeah, I'm me.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Seriously, I mean, we've said this before, especially when we were in League Two. But can you imagine rocking up every week, whatever Accrington Stanley to play, and watching that?
I think that it's expectations. So what they're actually experiencing is actually better than anything they've seen before, I imagine. So I suppose when you can imagine what the quality was like. Not necessarily them, but certainly the standard of the opposition and the games that they were playing when they were non-league.
I suppose
must be
on, isn't it? Just they don't
a
know
massive
any better,
improvement, you know, from where they were 10 years ago, whenever it was. So, yeah, I do subscribe to the theory that certain teams go out to not lose. In fact, we witnessed it under Robbie Nielsen.
Yeah.
And I never thought I would see
under
it.
Paul Castile, and it was us that were doing it.
Well, yeah, exactly as well. But he just seemed clueless. Whereas Robbie Nielsen actively tried not to lose, which is no way to progress up the leagues, as we know. But I don't go for the whole. I didn't go for it, but it's clear now that there are certain teams and certain clubs, because I can't imagine that conversation. And having been part of that Robbie Nielsen setup, it is in the team selections and what's going on in the moment on the pitch. So whereas you can set up a formation and say this is the formation we're going to play, and there's dozens and dozens of diagrams of set pieces and where we'll be at certain corners and this sort of thing, and it then becomes, it's not just a tactical ploy, it then becomes a mentality. And that's where I think it comes from. It's not, and I've said it before. I asked the question to Carl and a few other people: how do you tell a team to go out and not play? Don't actively go out to try and win the game. Go and try not to lose. They said, you can't tell them that because you don't want them to know that that's what they're doing. But that, during the game and before the game and team talks and training and all that sort of thing, there will be this build-up of how they're going to play on the day. And at no point are they aware that they're being told to go and not lose. We're not necessarily going to go out and try and win the game. We just don't want to lose it. And I find that quite depressing, really.
It's just a difficult situation, is it? Because it's a financial
club of that size.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a financial hardship for any club that goes down anyway. But if you're a relatively small club and you keep getting relegated, so you think to yourself, all they're really concerned is to not get relegated, isn't it? That's all it is.
Stay in League One, and
they don't want to lose away, Tony. They don't want to lose away, and if they can either get a draw at home or one or two,
and they'll pull out the occasional banging result, but they're probably not going to be near the playoffs. They might flirt with relegation, but they'll be, I'm sure, happy with mid-table. And it is definitely, it really annoys me when, particularly our fans as well, although our fans really are no different from the others. But
that's a good point, because I've got something to say about fans, Tony. I've got something to say about fans when we get on to Watford, because I was sat with Watford fans. It was an eye-opener, so I'll tell you about that later on.
All right.
Fans.
Well, I was just saying that it annoys me. Accrington Stanley are a small club, and not just small, but very, very small. They have a very small fan base. They sold 146 tickets. 125 of them, I think, made it to the game. There's no room for criticism for any fan going to an away game ever.
No.
But at the same time, for a club that size, what are we expecting? What are we truly expecting You're going to take the piss out of a club that's the size of Accrington Stanley for bringing 125 people.
I mean, I'll be honest with you.
It's just wrong.
Go there.
I don't agree with it at all. What's your issue? Numbers, we get criticised for our attendances because of the size of our stadium. Our attendances in League One are excellent. For the size of our club compared to the big boys, we are generally always the first or second best attended club outside of the big clubs that are in our league. So, but within our stadium, it looks like there's no one there. Yeah. But so we're in no position really to take the piss out of other fans.
It looked terrible on Saturday, didn't it? It looked really sparse, didn't it? I mean, I don't care. Turn up, don't turn up. There's been bloody guys all over the internet, like, that's it, I've seen enough and all that. Well, fuck off then. If you don't want, if you've seen enough, then.
Oh, are we talking about someone in particular?
Well, we are, yeah. One specific guy.
He knows who he is. Everybody knows who he is.
Exactly who he is. I've seen enough.
I tell you what, he's got 11 pages out of it though.
If you've seen enough and you're genuinely that fed up, don't go. But I can't see why anyone would put themselves through something like that they don't. I mean, I like going to the match. I like match day experience. I like going up to the bar, having some beer, meet your mates, go and see the game, meet them again at half time kind of thing, come home and watch Super Saturday, whatever it's called, Saturday night football, whatever. That's just my day, that is it. But I don't get I've seen enough there. Oh shit, it's 3 fucking games, mate. 3 or 4 games.
That's not just that, but across the course of at the end of the season, you can, or when your season's over and you're not going to get in the playoffs, you're not going to get promoted, you're not going to get relegated. You can pass judgment and whatever, but I'm not the best person to be around when we lose, as you know. I'm not. During the games, I don't like talking to anyone. I'll either sit on my own, or sit with my mum, or sit with my daughter, or Bobby G. But again, they're not. I will sit next to people who don't talk, basically. And I always said. Went quite regularly, travelled to games with Toby Locke and his dad, and I love sitting next to his dad because he didn't say a word the whole game.
Good.
Not a single word, and I absolutely loved that. I didn't say a word to him, he didn't say a word to me.
Everyone was
After the game, we'd have a brief discussion, and that was that. But I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh yeah, that was it. So if you're not, if you're getting that upset now. And the other thing is, for me, it's like that Man United syndrome or Liverpool syndrome, where these people, and that's not saying that this chap doesn't go to games, but apparently doesn't go to a lot of games, is that when you read what these people are writing on Twitter and on the internet, and they've not been to the game, and they're making, they're writing analysis, and they should do this and they should do that, and I'm thinking, you didn't go to the game. You can't see the whole picture.
People can have their opinions, can't they? You can have as many opinions as you like.
You can have opinions,
but just because you've got an opinion doesn't mean to say that your opinion's right. Like Tony Wilson, the old Factory Records bloke, they're absolutely fantastic, saying you're entitled to an opinion, but your opinion's shit. So it's just like, that's what it is, isn't it?
And there is this since the advent of the internet and blogging and so on, that's now spread to. One of the worst things about the internet are bloggers, and in particular football bloggers. Not just because they generally don't know what they're talking about, but at the same time, the spelling and grammar. I mean, for fuck's sake, use a spell check, use a grammar check,
got
get
really
someone to
angry the other
proofread
day.
it.
She got really, really angry, my wife, the other day. I said, "What are you reading?" And you got this Facebook page. It's called Life in Stony Stratford, which is basically just people in Stony Stratford complaining about stuff. And that's I seen this thing, I said, show me it, and man alive, when people just can't, not only can they not spell, but they're like, U is the letter U rather than Y-O-U. I mean...
R-U and
R-U, that kind of thing, a letter R.
I would have gone to the game. Oh my God, I would have. Talking of which, Albie posted a photo of a menu.
Where is that place? Old Stratford.
I can't remember what it's called now.
I'm definitely going there. Definitely.
He's, although Albie may look like a large testicle. I think
Well, there is
way
that.
to
Yes,
describe
you've
it.
said that, not me.
Although he may look like a testicle, he is quite an intelligent lad. Believe it or not.
Believe it.
Oh, that's it. Amigo's American Diner, and Albie's printed or put up pictures of their menu, and the word sauce has been spelled SAUSE 4 or 5 times, but
Even a
on
word,
one
isn't it?
page
S-E.
there's one instance where they've spelled it right.
Well, that's 1 out of 6, Tony. What are you complaining about?
Well, I suppose so. And then there's various other. So basically, I am that much. I am that what we used to refer to as a grammar Nazi.
Yeah, I'm terrible for that. Terrible.
I will not go to that place. I don't care how
definitely
good
going.
the food is
I'm going to go.
or whatever it is they do. I'm not going because they can't fucking spell.
I'm going
It's
and
the
I'm
basic
going to
stuff.
take a biro pen with me, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to correct that whole menu and then just leave it sat on the thing. That's what I'm going to
All
do.
of their menus.
No, just the one I've got. I'm
Just
just
the
right.
one you got.
Please feel free to copy this to your other menus.
Yeah,
I mean,
so there
people
you go.
have got- the internet.
We've named and shamed.
The internet's the
Amigos
worst thing, isn't it?
American something or other.
It's the worst thing in the world, the internet, because everyone thinks that not only have they got the right to have a blog or have an opinion, but they think they've got the right to be heard by other people who genuinely... I mean, I'm not really interested in what other people have got to say about football unless it's like... Well, unless it's no one, because you know, I like.
Yeah, I mean, I
watching
don't
it, and that's
read.
it.
I don't read.
You know?
I don't read match reports.
No, I don't read
I'd
match
much
reports,
rather
you know.
hear from if it's a Dons game. I'd much rather hear from someone who's been.
Yeah.
If I haven't been myself, if I have been myself, then I don't need to hear your opinion or your read your match report. But at the same time, I might have a conversation with you about the game or whatever. But I'm just not a. I don't watch the news. I know very little about what's going on in the world. I'm
I'm a
political
newsaholic.
views whatsoever.
I'm mad
Not
for the
me,
news,
mate.
me.
I've just never had an interest in it. I mean, I've only ever voted once.
Have you? Who did you vote for?
Yeah,
Boris Johnson. I knew it.
I voted Labour because that's what I do.
You voted
Well, I
for
would say
for
what I
Boris
do. That's
Johnson?
what I did once.
What's the matter with you? Why did you not vote for Boris
Well,
Johnson?
no one voted for Boris Johnson, mate. Let's be
I did.
honest.
I like Boris.
No, he didn't.
I like him. I don't really.
He wasn't voted in democratically.
Wasn't he?
No, he was voted in by his peers,
I've
wasn't
been
he?
cheated. Man alive. Anyway, I think getting back to the actual game of it was a shit game.
Yeah. So anyway, that game,
rubbish.
Accrington Stanley.
And I'm glad it's
Well, let's have a quick run through. The goal was good.
the goal
goal
was
was
very
very
good.
nice.
Yeah, cracking goal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. Can't think who scored it now.
I thought again we lacked width, and we got ourselves a bit cramped up in the middle. Then we expanded it out a bit, and we started playing it. But again, it seems to be this thing where, as we progress through games, we generally get better rather than just being good for the whole game. It wasn't very much of a spectacle. It wasn't a particularly enjoyable game, and
That wasn't no.
the fact that we drew 1-1 just made it worse, really. And
It did make it worse. If we'd won 1-0, you'd have been thinking, God, that was a chore. But you'll get a draw.
what I noticed though was that not a lot of people were saying, "Oh, we should never have let a goal in," and we should have come. But there also wasn't an air of, oh, I knew that was going to happen.
I didn't see the penalty,
They're
but
about it.
apparently no one in our team even questioned it. They all just
No, it did
said
look.
was a
It did
penalty.
look like a pretty clear penalty. It was. I think it was one of those situations where if he doesn't try and make the challenge, he's basically got an keeper to beat. He's got an open goal, so you've got to make some sort of effort to try and stop him. And unfortunately, it was not well timed, and the chap was always going to go over based on the performances from the rest of the Accrington Stanley players.
Did he get shot from the stands, that bloke? Is that what happened? Was there like a sniper up there shooting the Accrington Stanley players? Is that what happened?
Well, I think, as we know, the goalkeeper, I mean, I'm surprised, to be honest, that he hasn't reported to the police like attempted murder or something, or manslaughter, I don't know. But
the police are busy at the minute, mate. They've got bigger fish to fry than...
Well, I mean, once he comes out of his coma, once he come out of his coma, I'm sure he'll make an informed decision based on the replays.
So I think we'll call that done because it was boring then and it's a bit boring.
We'll call it done. Can I just quickly jump in with an email?
Oh, we've got emails and tweets. I've seen them on the internet.
Oh, yeah, the chap that I bumped into at the Sutton game at the Turnstile, it was actually David Carr, and I think you know him. Well, you know the face anyway.
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah, it was he that said hello to me at the gate. He says, as I said, the podcast is great listening. I live outside of MK. I don't really mix with any other fans locally in my area, so it's good to hear fan-based views other than the odd text of Toby Locke or Luke Ashmead. As for the team, I believe they are working together as a game, games go on, and we will see better results. However, I doubt we will make the playoff positions this season. Anyway, come and say hello if you see me in Lewington's, and I will buy your drinks all day.
Will he?
He says.
Oh, I'm in there.
Well, actually, he said, I'll buy you a pint, but I've seen that as...
right, yeah, I will buy you as much drink as you like.
It's, I mean, we may not even go to the game. Let's just stay in the bar and drink beer on me. So thanks,
cheers,
Dave.
Yeah, cheers,
thanks for that,
I'll
mate.
take you up on that, yeah. Brilliant, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I went out last night, funnily enough. This is a strange thing that happened last night. I went out last night with my mate Andy. We did like a pub quiz. And there was another couple of couples there that were friends of his, but I'd never met them before. And you know how it was the Champions League qualifiers last night, so you couldn't get your phone out, could you? Because you're doing a pub quiz. And I'm thinking, what are Rangers doing? Fuck's sake. Desperate. I said, no, I've got to look. You know, I don't care if we get kicked out anyway. So I fucking put it on, and you know, Rangers were 1-0 up, and I was going, yes. And there was another Scottish woman there, and it turns out she was, you know, Rangers as well. So we're talking about it, and you know, my mate Andy goes, like John's nickname is actually Jers, and this guy's, I'm not joking when I say this, right, this guy's sitting beside me who was friends with my friend, you know, mutual friend kind of thing, turned round and says, are you the Jers from the Concrete Roundabout? And I goes, and he goes, oh, well done, mate. Just like, oh wow, that was quite cool. I had no idea.
Well done for being you.
For being a fucking idiot on the internet. So that was quite funny, wasn't it? Just fame, Tony. You know what it's like when you're a media personality, mate.
Mate, I can't. I mean, you know me. No one knows who I am, where I live. Well, except most of the AFC fan base.
Right, shall we move on to Tuesday night? Something that was actually good to watch. Did you watch it? Did you manage to get to see it? Oh, right.
So I made a decision. I've just bought some new wardrobes.
All right. Well, you know how to treat yourself, Tony.
Yeah, exactly. And I needed to move my clothes. And so, as you know, I'm a very busy person.
You are very busy, eh?
I'm a very busy person. So, finding time to undertake such a task.
Fingers on a lot of pies, you, Tony, apparently.
Yeah.
And not just the ones you eat.
Quite difficult to find that sort of time. So, I thought I'll put it on the radio. I won't watch it because then I'll just sit down and I won't do anything. But I can actually listen to the radio whilst rearranging my
can do that, yes,
wardrobes and clothes. So I'm going to let you, because I'm not going to pass opinion at all, I'll let you get on with it.
I can sum Watford up quite succinctly. They had nothing at the back, their midfield was non-existent, and they had absolutely fuck all up front. They were just absolutely obviously it was like a second string, wasn't it, for them? I mean, some of the guys were coming on and their shirts were number 55 and all this kind of stuff, you know, so you're thinking, oh well, but they were just, they had absolutely nothing. We see the midfield, if they had, I don't know, 4 or 5 guys across midfield, those 4 or 5 guys would have just been welcome and sitting beside me because they would have been more effective, you know, shouting at their teammates. They were appallingly bad team, they really were. Now, having said that, we were good. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't the fact that, they're fucking crap, that's why we won. We won because we were better than them. We were a good, coherent side, and we just outplayed them. You know, we were by far and away the better side.
From what I got from the radio was that straight from the first whistle, we were at it, and we were a better team, and we looked confident.
They were better in the first half.
Were they just that bad? Or
they were just appalling, mate. They had nothing. It didn't. The guy I went with, sort of the guy that owns the company. He was like, he's, everyone would know. We went into corporate hospitality, and he just couldn't believe it. he kept telling me about all the players that they'd sold and how much money they were bringing in. And I said, I'll be honest with you, Scott, you might want to try spending some of that money on the pitch because these blokes are fucking terrible, mate. I said, I genuinely
was it a spreeer they were banging on about? And
they've got that guy, I can't remember his name now. I thought he was at Everton, but it turns out he'd come from Leicester. Oh, God, I can't remember his name. And they played him. And I thought, you're actually an alright player, but you're just fucking terrible. I mean, I don't know if I've not seen, that's the first time I've seen Watford in the flesh ever. I've never seen them, and like I say, it definitely wasn't their first choice, but they had just absolute, I mean, see midfield, like I said a minute ago, their midfield was absolutely non-existent. They were just, I mean, we could have just, I don't know, casually, just tapped it between ourselves and they wouldn't have got it off us because they were really that bad. They were terrible, Absolutely.
Should we be disappointed by only winning 2?
Yeah, only winning 2, I would have said so, yeah. I mean, it was a great night for me because obviously when you're in a monk, I mean, I was sitting beside a whole load of Watford fans. And here's what I was going to say. Do you know what they were saying? And it was the funniest thing. Loads of them, they're all going like, forward, don't play it sideways, don't play it back to the keeper. And I'm just thinking, wow, it's been just like being at Milton Keynes.
It's just like being a home game.
I thought to myself, wow, is this what happens at every ground? Does every home fan just say, forward and all this kind of stuff, It was just the same.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because you do, I mean, I had a season ticket, as you know, at Northampton in the mid to late 90s, and I was fortunate enough for it to be there when it was a very good season. But you did hear the occasion because they were so boring. They were successful in that they got to the playoff final that season, but my God, the football was bad. They beat. This is when Al Fayed had just bought Fulham.
Right.
And I think they lost one game that season, and it was to Northampton at Sixfields. Northampton scored after 48 seconds or something like that, and then they managed to hold on for the rest of the game, which sounds exciting.
I bet it wasn't.
It was awful. It was, but possibly the funniest thing that I've ever heard, and the most unfunny thing I've ever heard at football match happened at Sixfields. One bloke said some clogger from God knows where went flying into Northampton's best player, and this bloke in front of me stood up and screamed at the top of his voice, "That's the worstest tackle I've seen in my life!"
Speaking of it, funny accents, did you see that? Oh, what's his name? That young Irish guy's post-match interview.
No, I didn't. I haven't watched the interview. I was tempted.
Oh
actually.
God, you've got to watch it. It is quite literally. Have you seen that thing on the internet? It was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, where it was really cold in Ireland, and they interviewed this school kid. You not seen that?
Yes, I have seen that.
Oh, you'd get frostbite. Oh God, it's even funnier than that. It's absolutely hilarious.
Wasn't that? Isn't he Scottish? Wasn't he?
No, he's a Scot.
Yeah,
he's an Irish kid. No, he's an Irish kid. But he looks like he's like a school kid, but he looks like a 56-year-old man. That guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
he dressed like.
Sure, you'd get frostbite.
Oh God, just like your granddad.
Yeah,
your granddad in the 70s going to the pub.
You've got to watch it as soon as this finishes because it is just the funniest thing you've ever seen in your whole life. It's fantastic. It really is. I've had a tweet
so in
here.
summary, they're Watford shite.
And that's good.
MK good.
It was really odd, right? It's an odd experience because I've never watched a game from what I would term as the away end, but obviously it was the home end on Tuesday night. I've never watched it. It was a really odd experience because you're watching us, right, and we were good, and then you're looking at the fans, and I'm thinking, wow, that just looks absolutely fantastic. It really did. I mean, how many of us were there? Was it about 1,700? It was a lot, wasn't it? It was packed, wasn't it? And they were going absolutely...
just under 1,700.
They were going absolutely mental the whole game, and I just thought, that's actually pretty cool. You don't really appreciate it until you're at the opposite end of where they are,
Yeah, when you see the videos afterwards, and when Ant and Callum do their videos from the pitch, those are the ones I like. Actually, I was saying my sources in the first team, me mum, said to me that the players and the staff were all very impressed with the support.
They should have been. It was. you get a completely different perspective, like I say, if you're not actually in it. And being sat at the opposite end of the ground and amongst a load of Watford fans who are continually, shouting at their own team how shit they were, and I'm watching it and I'm thinking, the club's come an incredibly long way, isn't it? In an incredibly short time, because we would never have done. I mean, I know it's like, bloody less than half an hour on the train, wasn't it, to get there, So, but it was a good turnout.
Maybe not so much on Tuesday.
Yeah.
When it sounded as if people were still stuck on trains at about 7:15, I think.
That was all right. We got on the train I think it was about 5:05. I was in Watford for about half past 5. It was all right, walked to the ground.
Yeah.
Went to my corporate hospitality box, Tony, which was absolutely outstanding, I must admit. I'd rely on saying it wasn't. We're sitting having some drinks, well, more than some drinks, as we were discussing before we started recording, but I managed to keep a lid on it, Tony, because I had school the next day. And then about 7:30, I thought to myself, are we going to get our main course here, or what? What's happening? Because I'm bloody starving here. Oh, are you gone?
No, I'm still there. I was looking at I was trying to work out what game it was where the first team, the staff and players said they were most impressed with the noise. It was the Port Vale game at home.
Oh, right.
Which should have been apparent immediately, because the reason it was picked up on is because it was a home game. We're getting used to it now at away games with the 1,000+ attendances. So haven't said it for ages, but well done to the Don's Action boys for
done well. He's organised.
Not just getting it organised and done, but maintaining it. And there's a good group, good core now. There's also, I noticed there's a little younger faction.
Yeah, they're
who have been exposed for fake limbs on Twitter, which was funny.
No, I feel bad for them now. I don't really.
It's actually, I don't know if you've seen the video, but it's a group of prepubescent lads jumping around all over each other and over the seats. And then as the person filming it pans round, everybody else is stood up, but they're politely clapping. It's like imagine going to a Michael Bublé concert and it had a mosh pit, and like everybody else is there, stood there with their Pims, and there's this group of young lads jumping around.
No, it was a good
jumping
night.
on top of each other.
It's a really odd experience, because like you say, you couldn't, when we scored, we went with, there was 5 of us in our group, and the guy that owns the company was Watford. There was another fella who doesn't like football. There was a guy that was a Fulham supporter, Man United. He's never seen Fulham or Man United in his life, this guy. But the other side, the other 5 guys who were wholesalers, they were near enough all Milton Keynes. So when we scored, we high-fived one another and kind of thing. We didn't jump up and go crazy. But when the second goal went in, I think I genuinely did shout, "Yeah, beauty," or something like that. But I thought, everyone was all right about it. It's just like,
you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that.
I wouldn't. I'd much rather have been in the away end, to be quite honest, even though it was like
You should have done. I mean, for the experience, yes, but I didn't enjoy watching the game in a box.
I think I would have enjoyed it more, Tony, if it had been a Friday night rather than a Tuesday night. If it had been a Friday night, I probably would have taken full advantage of the free bar, to be quite honest, but because it was a Tuesday
if it was
night,
Saturday, you got a lot more time.
You're thinking,
you haven't got to get up in the morning and all that sort of thing.
Bloody 5 the next morning, get to work. I can't be getting hammered on a Tuesday night. So I didn't. But it was all right. It was it was hilarious when our second goal went in, the guy that owns our company, Watford Support, got up and stormed off. Just really genuinely did. I said, don't go.
You can appreciate
don't go,
that,
mate. I said, come back. I said, come back, don't go. Just funny as fuck. Because
they genuinely thought
that they were going to put 5 or 6 past us, to be quite honest. I was convinced of it before the game kicked off.
Well, I think I did ask that. We'll come to the Twitter, which has been a lot more lively, and I've been asking a few things.
Yeah, I see. I'm reading
of our fans.
Now
so last week it was Friday question, which was, can Josh McEachran and Bradley Johnson play in the same midfield together? Surprisingly close vote here. So it's about 70-30, I suppose.
What, in which favour?
Split. So most of the votes went for yes, they can play together. Because I thought most people would be saying yes anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was surprisingly close on that. In fact, it was closer to 50-50 than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be miles one way or the other. But and Adam Jones said he thinks McEachran would take a lot of pressure off Johnson, freeing him up to play forward with his passing range and get forward without having to worry about gaps behind, which I can see that, and I can see them swapping roles as well. Or maybe maybe not so much the Darren Potter, Dele Alli, but one man in each half, perhaps.
Yeah, free him up to do stuff.
Work together that way. Silbo asked us what time does after the whistles start. To which I replied, our award-deserving talents have not yet been recalled for the new season, so we've either been dropped or forgotten.
More likely
sadly.
been forgotten about, to be quite honest.
Yeah, exactly. What else was there? So, a few comments about the Accrington Stanley goalkeeper. That was fun. I also asked about Watford, for instance. Vote for do you think we're going to have a glorious, did our best, can't ask for any more narrow defeat, an unexpected struggle to a 4-0 victory, or alternative? That came out with not very many votes on that, actually, but the like for glorious, did our best, can't ask for any more narrow defeat took 66% of the votes.
Oh dear. Well, if someone had said to me what's going to happen, I would have thought they would have beaten us, to be quite honest.
I honestly thought it would probably be brave performance, maybe go 1-0 up, and then eventually lose 2 or 3-1. Albie said out on penalties after being 2-0 up. Now that would be funny. MK Dons fan, 4-0 loss. Just hope to be proven wrong. 2-1 Dawson Devoid double, said Jonathan Harris. Fraser Wiley said he's going with optimism. I know I'm a fool after Saturday's showing, but we put in the performance of the season: 1 touch pass and move, manning ball, 3 up at half time. Greg comes on.
Let's talk about Will Grigg.
Ty Jenner sounds ridiculous, but I reckon both teams are looking to bow out of this. And he went Watford 1, Dons 2. Matt Boston says, no doubt we'll have a very different start up to the weekend. We haven't spoke about the lineup, actually, have we?
Well, let's talk about the Will Grigg business. Because
and Graham said easy win for Watford 2-0. Yeah. I don't know. I think that was it.
Yeah, Will Grigg getting subbed off after, what was it, half an hour? That must have been planned, because he just went and sat on the bench.
It was pre-planned, yeah. It was 100% pre-planned. There was... it's probably the ideal game, really, isn't it?
It was, yeah. I hate to have to say this, but we did look a bit better when he went off, but obviously...
Well, Dennis is in his stride now, isn't he? He's got the goal.
He was really good. He was really, really good. I've got a tweet here. I don't know if you've seen it, from Adam Jones talking about Zach Jules. Have you seen that?
Oh yes. So I thought he
was good.
He played against Sutton, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I thought he looked decent there. See, this is the thing. When we brought him in, and being brought in as the replacement for Dean Lewington can be a very, very long process.
Yeah, a long wait, I would have thought.
Waiting, yeah. Even though he's now 57.
He is, coming up on 58, I believe his birthday's next week.
Yeah, it's very soon. It's not going to be... Nothing's ever guaranteed, but you'd have to go some way to dislodge him permanently, as I would imagine that he'd still be the third choice. But what I liked, anyway, was that when I saw the team sheet, I wasn't too sure about the players, because I haven't seen much of half that team, really, have we? I immediately thought, yep, there's the 5-3-2. That's whatever you want to call it, the 5-2-3-1, the 5-3-1-2, the 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it. But the 5 at the back is the main thing about that. And Warren O'Hara seems to be... he's to sign a new contract as well, which is brilliant, absolutely fantastic, because that shows a genuine commitment in what is, generally a profession that lacks loyalty. But for him to sign a new contract is brilliant, and he's taking over that sort of central section of that back five, which is good to see, and he's a good footballer as well. So it'll be interesting to see what will happen on Saturday, because
I'd be interested.
There is a genuine decision to be made.
Yeah,
about,
whether you bring Dara Burns on from the start.
Well, this is it. Who's going to be playing? Who's going to start on Saturday? That started on, or more to the point, who's not going to be starting on Saturday? That started on Tuesday, because based on that performance, you wouldn't begrudge them any of them a start. But the reality is, they started that game because other players were rested, not because they necessarily.
You think goalkeeper would start, wouldn't you? O'Hora. Obviously, Cummings will start, won't he? Sorry.
Yeah, O'Hora, but
Zach Jules won't start on Saturday. I'd be surprised if he does. It's good to see Daniel Harvey back. He was actually all right.
Oh, yeah. See, this is it. Now, you see, when you say to me left-hand side, immediately I'm thinking Louis and Harvey. Yeah. And that there's no question about that.
I tell you who else was really
the only other alternative to that would be Louis and Zach Jules.
I tell you who else was highly impressive, Matt Smith.
Yeah, I heard really that. Matt Smith was very, very good. I mean, there's loads.
They were all pretty good.
Good things to say about it.
Pick anyone out that lineup that wasn't really good, to be quite honest,
Yeah.
Really, they were. I mean, Dara Burns obviously, stood out for obvious reasons, but I mean, him and what's his name? Christ, who am I talking about? The guy that scored the goal, I can't think of his name. They were linking
Dennis.
Up. Yeah, they were linking up really well. It was just.
Yeah.
It looked. I mean, it obviously been one of those games where I think, after about half an hour, anyone who was playing in white on Tuesday night just thought, hang on a minute here, these are shit. We can just tear these to bits, I mean, if you've got a footballing brain about you, you could see that they had absolutely nothing at all, which they didn't, So.
Well, I think, I read somewhere that the average age of our players under 23, and even though, I mean, some of them are not even, was there a player on the pitch that was anywhere near 30 on Tuesday,
I don't know, mate.
It's interesting.
Robson, I mean,
it's a nice problem to have.
How old is Ethan Robson? He must be quite old by now.
Okay, Google. How old is Ethan Robson?
Robson is 25 years old.
He's 25.
Oh, is that all the age? Oh, he said a hard paper round him. He's like that Irish kid we were just talking about earlier on off the internet, isn't he? Oh, show you.
Is he the one with the terrible hair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we mention that when he signed?
How shit his hair was.
Is he not sorting it out? Well, we'll have to have a word with him about that.
It's quite funny because Adam Jones does go on to say, like he adds another tweet, he said, it's really frightening when you consider the age of them all. Once they get going properly, he's got no doubts who will be chasing those playoffs. Not too sure about that. I mean, I know it's only, 4 or 5 games in, but...
I definitely go for that. I definitely go for the fearless youth element.
I mean, they did look like they were having the time of their lives, all the young kids, especially
exactly.
When the full-time whistle went, I kind of hung about a bit and then we went and had another drink, and then one of the other guys that was with us, he went out and he's when they're doing their interviews, he's hanging out on the edge shouting, "You Dons!" just shouting at them. Well, come here, he's shouting, come on. So I kind of wandered out and had a look, and they were all still on the pitch. I know they're warming down and stuff, but I think to myself, they must feel brilliant right now. They really must, coming to somewhere like Watford and putting on a display like that in front of a massive crowd from us. It's good. It's a good night.
And this is where that's something that they should savour that for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't also assume that it's going to be like that every week. And so if it's going well, and they're playing like they did on Tuesday.
They can try it out against Morecambe, Tony, because that's who we've drawn in the next round.
They can do, but it's
a massive disappointment
when it goes wrong. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed it before about that Spurs team that came fairly close to win the league and then lost to Chelsea, and when the year Leicester won the Premier League, and that Spurs team was probably technically and talent-wise the best team in the Premier League at that season. But they were very young lads, and when it went wrong that night at Chelsea, I mean, Dele got a retrospective red card, didn't he, for punching someone in the stomach, and they just fell apart that night, and from there on, it all went horribly wrong. So It's difficult, isn't it, to say that he's gone to
Besiktas, yeah. £8 million, they reckon.
Good luck to him. Good luck to £8 million, and he was the most expensive. He's rated price-wise as the most expensive player in the world in 2018.
Jesus, don't know what's happened to that guy. I really don't. Can't figure that out.
I've got my own theory on it, but
maybe he just doesn't like football. I mean, he might be one of those footballers that doesn't like it. But was it you that was saying that?
Yeah,
they had to actually drag him off the training ground. So it can't be that, can it?
Yeah, we had to drag him out of training. There were, I could say this now because it can't come back on him, but he would go down to Shenley Church End looking for five-a-side games to play in when he was before anybody really knew him.
Jeez.
But he was in the first team squad.
Yeah.
And he's breaching his contract there, and he's risking massive risks of injuries and so on. And I've played football with blokes like one lad who was at Reading, and he went into training on Monday, and he went to see the physio, and he said, "Oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to train today. Can you have a quick look at this for me?" And it turned out he'd gone and played for his brother's Sunday morning team, and he just signed professional for Reading. And Reading sacked him because he breached his contract.
When Rooney made his debut for Everton, I think he scored. He was about 16, and like when he went home, he went outside and they were all playing football in the street, and he was one of them.
Exactly, and that's
Dele.
Dele. All he wanted to do was play football, and that was
what I think it is.
I think someone has. I think someone has taken his love of football.
I have a theory about it, and my theory is Jose Mourinho. I always think that Mourinho, wherever he goes, he has to pick on a player that he picks on and he doesn't like. Because I think Jose Mourinho was a bit of a bully, to be quite honest. I mean, when he was
Dele did actually say, "I'll never play for a team managed by Mourinho."
When he was at United, he took against Luke Shaw, didn't he? For no other reason, just think this is the guy I've got to take against. When he was at Chelsea, it was Joe Cole, wasn't it, that he took? You just think, and obviously when he was at Spurs, he had decided it was going to be Dele.
Maybe he's just jealous of
guys that are good at football. Could be
talented.
Yeah. Because the funny, I remember
Joe Cole was an exceptional footballer.
Yeah. I remember watching one game. This was when he was there for his first stint when Mourinho was at Chelsea the first time, and Joe Cole scored this astonishingly good goal, and then Mourinho called him over. And he was bollocking him for something that he'd done about 4 or 5 passages of play, in the past. And you just think, that's a really odd thing, because you've just absolutely, you've deflated that guy, because he's just scored a fantastically good goal, and you're slagging him off for something he'd done about 2 or 3 minutes ago, so maybe just that. I mean, it's the same thing. I didn't watch that thing that was on the telly where he was slagging Dele off for being a poor trainer and for brushing his teeth in the wrong way and all that. So you think to yourself, maybe
that's the other thing. Dele was the fittest player. His stamina. Yeah. He always was super competitive in training. He came back from. Do you remember the season we got promoted? He got taken out at Colchester, and he was out for 6 games. I think it was. They absolutely kicked him all over the place, and they finally broke him. And he came back to full training after his, wherever it was, 6 games or 6 weeks. I can't remember what it was, which way around. And Carl had to tell him to slow down because the other players couldn't keep up with him.
I think it was, oh, bloody hell. Who did we interview that time? You just said Darren Potter. Remember we interviewed him? And he was saying about Dele, and he goes, we just had to tell him to calm down all the time. He was just like flying into tackles as if it was like a competitive game.
I think his love of football was possibly taken away by someone else. He didn't lose it himself.
No, I think. Well, I'll tell you what. It's Jose Mourinho that's done it. So there you
go. Well, that's my opinion. And knowing
you're never wrong, Tony. As you know, you're always correct.
Does love football. I mean, it was the only thing. Oh, that and pink punters, but the other than that, all right, and going shopping. But other than that,
I hate to think what he bought. God, going shopping, he bought some shit he did.
Oh, his dress sense was terrible. I mean, he was generally in a jogging suit most of the time. The typical chav grey tracksuit.
Had some good
He
hair
would turn up
recently.
for that every
I
day.
like those multicoloured dreadlocks he had. I thought they looked really cool.
Yeah, and then one day when we played Chelsea, what was the game he turned up? I did a photo, a selfie with me and him.
I remember it in the changing room. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and he looked like an extra from what's that Mel Gibson post-apocalyptic
Mad Max
film? Yeah, he looked like an extra from Mad Max, like some sort of shitty body armor and. I don't know, but I have no idea what he was wearing, but it was fucking awful. So obviously, money didn't improve his fashion.
You can't buy taste, can you? Either got it like me or you don't.
You can't buy a taste, no. You
Right.
really can't.
Are you having a weekend away, Tony, by any chance this weekend?
I am. I'm finishing work early tomorrow.
Are you going tomorrow?
I'm going tomorrow. Start work at 9.
Yeah.
I've then got a half-hour lunch at 10:15 to 11:15, and then I finish at 12.
That's not bad, is it? So by the time people will listen to this, you will actually be in sunny Morecambe, will you not?
Well, I hope so. Google has told me that the trip
nice
will
weather,
take.
mate.
The trip is going to take between 3.5 and 6.5 hours.
How are you getting there? Are you driving?
I'm driving, yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Take that
Well, I
long
thought
to
if
get
I'm
there,
going to
will
do
it?
the whole weekend, I might as well.
Have some
Trains
transport.
are not going to be cheap, but hotel was £40 a night with
That's good,
breakfast. So I've never done a weekender, and I've never been to Morecambe. So I thought
Make a
it's by the
weekend, don't it?
seaside. It's still nice weather.
You got a bucket of spade, Tony? Yes.
I'm just trying to actually. After this, I am going to go and pack, and
Naughty
I'm
handkerchief.
just trying to think, what am I going to forget? So every time I'm going to go into the bathroom, and I'm going to think, right, what would I do now if I was having a shower, getting ready for what? So I'd need toothbrush, toothpaste, shower gel, shampoo.
Towel. Don't forget a towel.
Oh, towels, you see.
They supply towels, though, don't they? The old hotels, you would have thought, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I like my towels, so I'll take a couple of towels. So yes, I'm excited. I'm
Good for you.
going with Zoe and
Oh, right.
Dan
McCullough.
We're
Having a weekend away with Dan McCullough in a hotel.
he was at Old Trafford today for the cricket, so he's staying over in Manchester and he's going to meet us in Morecambe tomorrow.
Oh, that's so bad, is it?
Lisa Spearman, she's up with the family, also doing an overnighter from Friday in a hotel just down the road from us. And
That's good, isn't it?
the best thing about it is that the official away fans pub is about 200 yards from our hotel.
Oh, mate, you could get there at bloody 11 o'clock in the morning, couldn't you?
Well, once my breakfast is done, I've put my shoes on. That's
You know what
done,
I'm doing
mate.
tomorrow morning? I've got to go and see a surgeon as to whether or not what I was dreading is going to happen is actually going to happen. So that's what I'm doing. Something to look forward to, isn't it?
Well, spoil the mood.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
I'm 100 times better than I was last week.
I tell you what, and there's you moaning about that when that poor Accrington Stanley
yeah,
keeper
I should think. Yeah,
is lying
I
there
know.
in a coma.
I feel bad now for having osteomyelitis.
So you should.
I'm
So
going
you
to lose
should.
my leg. So no, I feel much better, listeners. You'll be pleased to know that the tablets I'm on have made a huge difference in the last week. So I feel right as rain now.
Excellent. That's good stuff.
That is good
Dele
news, please.
Alli's trending again on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen his a whole load of blokes
I think it's all official now, isn't
Yeah.
it? So
going crazy when
That'll be
he
why.
was presented to the fans, kind of thing. So, shall we have a quick prediction before we go?
yeah. So we've got two predictions, haven't we? Because we've completely forgotten. We got Cheltenham on Tuesday, I think.
What, at home?
Have we got Cheltenham on Tuesday?
Oh, sure.
At home, yeah,
Sure.
in the Pizza Cup.
Oh, I ain't going to that. Bloody no chance.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we?
I'm off next week. I'm not going to ruin it by going to that. No chance.
August. Yes, we have. We're Morecambe away on Saturday, Cheltenham at home on Tuesday. 7 o'clock kickoff, people, don't forget.
I am
Right,
suspecting...
go on then. Morecambe away.
2-0. Us.
I'm gonna go 5-1.
Really? If we play the way we played on Tuesday night, we'll easily beat them. Easily.
It just needs. I think they just needed that.
Yeah.
Watford obviously gave them the freedom.
But confidence
But-
is what they need, Tony. They
Yeah,
think
to
that they can actually play good football when they need to.
they're
Yeah.
capable of it. To know
Yeah.
that they can do it, and hopefully, it'll be with a back five. But we'll see. We'll see. So
On Tuesday,
2-0 and 5-1, and Cheltenham. I don't know what sort of team we'll put out.
Couldn't care
Possibly very similar to
yeah, to the Watford. You've
maybe,
got to hope so.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus side, at least, you'll be home for sort of 9:15.
I will be. I'm going.
Well, I'm going. I can't.
I might
can't
go.
not
I'm
go,
off
can I,
next
really?
week. I've not had a holiday this year, so I'm taking the next 2 weeks off because I've just got so much holiday to take that if I don't take it, I'll end up with nothing.
How can you be so blasé about not going to a game?
I'm not interested in that tournament, I've said it on here, till I'm sick of saying it. I'll get interested in that tournament when it looks like we're going to get to Wembley. But before that, nah.
Listen, mate, if I have to go,
I might go, actually. I mean, I've got nothing else to do. Can't be expensive, can it?
it will be rubbish.
I
know it'll be rubbish. You know it'll be rubbish, but I'm still going.
Someone said something really funny on Twitter about the drawing them in the third round of that, the Carabao Cup. We'll have taken more fans on Tuesday night than we will at home.
We haven't spoken about that, have we? Good Lord.
So there you go. There'll be no one at that third round, will there? No chance. Are those
That
games
was
not really
possibly
late
the
on?
most disappointing draw since we got Stevenage for the 14th time in...
Useless, So there we go. Right, are we done?
Yes, indeed, I think we are. I can't think of anything else that I've missed. I probably have. Done the emails, done the Twitter.
Done the
I think
predictions,
that's
talked
it,
about
mate,
the
yeah.
games. I've
Done
given
the
you a glimpse
predictions.
into the poshest of the posh seats at Watford, so that's about it. That was a good night, that. Really funny coming out of when we went back on the train station. There was a whole load of Dons, fans at the train on the platform, and I'm with some Watford supporters. It was really funny. I did exchange pleasantries with them. I didn't just ignore them, Tony. I'm not a savage, am I? I'm not. It's not changed me, Tony. It didn't change me, mate. I was still the same.
So what you're saying is that I shouldn't get the commercial team to get in touch with you about that box?
No.
No, all right.
No, I
okay.
wouldn't.
All right.
Just like I said, it was a really odd thing because if it had been Milton Keynes, I think you would have had to have just behaved the same, wouldn't you? You couldn't be on, crazy, could you? You just can't do it, can you, when you're in an environment like that? But it was all right. Right, we're done. We'll be back Wednesday next week when I'm not at work for the next 2 weeks, so it's Wednesday for the next 2 weeks at least. Probably Wednesday going forward. This has been a busy week for me. Really is. Went to a pub quiz. I told you, we came second, Tony.
Well done.
We won 20 quid and it was in aid of Willing Hospice and we gave it back. I also won the raffle, which was exciting. It was a good night.
Did you give that back? Or?
No, we didn't. No, we won some champagne flutes and a hold all that you can put a dog in.
Oh, useful.
It was useful for us. We came back last night, right, and we said...
Really?
It was brilliant.
Would it fit the husky? Or?
No, not the husky, the Pekingese. We came back last night and we put him in it, and my wife put it on his shoulder and he fell out head first. I said, all right, we'll have to practice that when we've not been out, get back at 11 o'clock at night. And she said, come here, mate, let's try you in this bag. So, yeah, it was a good night. And Rangers, qualified for the Champions League, so it was a good night, all in all.
Yeah.
Right, we will see you next week then, and hopefully we'll have beaten them and that other team as well in the bloody, whatever it is, Paint Pot Trophy, whatever it's called. Who sponsors it
Papa
now?
John's Trophy.
Is it still the pizza people? Well, I'll be... Right.
I think so.
I might go if I've got the time, but I wouldn't hold your breath seeing me there. Right, we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.